Yes, I think you mentioned using existing technology, and one existing technology is obviously a bicycle, and some countries in the Netherlands are up to 60% cycling rates, and we've got 6% in Inverness, and we think we're doing well. So that will be one obvious thing that's ready to go if we have the right infrastructure, which, as Paul pointed out, we don't.
One of the I mean, I didn't cover this, but in transport, the first thing that we see is designed to require less transport. So our planning is a joke. We are still working a planning system in which white fields in a box connected by pavements on which there's nowhere to go. What are these pavements for in these white box estates that they build in fields? Just to con you into believing that you might have a social life? We need to start ensuring that planning requires that things like employment, shops, public services are all within walking distance, cycling distance. So the problem we've got is, right now, I mean, I saying bigger, next town Lanark, they built a school, they took the school out the heart of the town and then built it in the outskirts. Every single kid in the whole of Lanark now has to go by bus to school. None of them can walk, because it's doing a bloody busy road with no pavements. We've got to design transport out of the system, out of town shopping. We've got to design it out. So I will say that we've got the downside that Scotland's quite hilly. So one person says to me, we'd solve all Scotland's problems if Glasgow just cycled. I says, well, a number at the top of those hills would just be like littered with old guys having heart attacks, to be completely honest with you. And we've got the weather problem as well, but we can do much more. And frankly, I know a lot of people would much rather be able to just take a wee stroll out and get a pint of milk. I mean, we do this now. There's a shop locally that sells milk in a milk bottle, and we can just go out and get a bottle of milk, and it's nice, and you bump into people and you see people and it lifts you. Yeah, we've got to make it easier to travel without vehicles, and we've got to reduce the number of journeys we need to make for no reason anyway.
It's a wonderful vision. It's a very carefully well worked out plan. How on earth do you actually start to bring it about?
You, all of you. I'm going to maybe kind of explain this. While I'm here now, we're coming back. So what we're going to do next year, this is our whole 2020. This is what we are focused on. We're still going to be campaigning and doing stuff in Scottish independence, but this is the vision that we want to really push for independent Scotland. So we're going to put a lot of effort into this. We're going to go and do a roadshow where it's not me rambling for far too long, but rather we're going to come up with a team and we're going to do proper presentations, videos, look at all flash, try and get big audiences, try and reach out. We're working on a number of techniques. So for example, there's a number of organising ways which you can use phone apps and various things to really start to connect people, get people who are interested in this in. That's largely for the youngsters. We're putting a lot of effort into the kids. We're working with Extinction Rebellion to get them aware of this and say, you know, it's not just enough to say that we've got to do something, we've got to do this. So what we've got to do is build up momentum. And what we're going to do next year is create ways for all of you to get out there and find 2 or 3 people and persuade them. So that's what we want to do. We don't have the money. We can't go lobbying like, you know, the big corporates or whatever. We need to use the desire for people for this kind of a change, and there's lots of it. I mean, there's really, really lots of desire to do something. We need to use that and use that to spread among people. So we've got a lot that we're going to do next year, which is to help build advocates for this vision, for this hope. How do we get started with it? I didn't actually say this. I can't believe I didn't say this. One of the things that we put in this book is we know that there are good people who are not independent supporters who also want to save the planet, and all we're saying is, look, this is what you need to do. Damned if we can see how you do it without independence, but, you know, take your shot at it or come up with a better plan, because the UK's not going to do this. So, I mean, the answer is that I think we need to have independence. One of the things that we're going to do next year, early on, is to say, okay, but TikTok, I mean, seriously, each year that we don't act, all we're doing is pushing it another year back. Now, I met with a Danish district heating expert, and this is really all I grilled them on, was what's your lead times? It takes about 2 years from deciding you're going to do a town to getting started. You've got to survey it, you've got to plan it, you've got to do all the work. We can do that now. We could survey every town in Scotland, have it all ready. We need to get shovel ready right now. And I think we need independence largely to finance it, and also because things like the energy system it would be required. Others may disagree. I'm happy to have that conversation, but we've got to start doing this. And another thing that we're probably going to do is, I know everyone's one of the things that's killing us is targets. Targets are a nightmare. It's way past targets. We know targets is just a way of saying we've got to do something. Setting a target for 10 years that we know we're not going to meet is nothing. What we're going to do now, I think, is an annual report card which says you should have done 60,000 houses. You should have planted X number of trees. I want to make this a binary. It's done or it's not done. There's no more footering about saying, oh, we've set really good targets. Do it, don't do it. And I think that people need to look and say, God, we aren't actually doing it, are we? Another year down, tick-tock. Sands are running through our fingers. So we've got a lot of plans for how to do this. And bluntly, we're just trying to use the energy of everybody that wants to do something. We've just set up, it's currently called the Commonweal Young Team. And let's be honest, I've gone way past the point where I should be talking to teenagers. We need to get people who are self-organised to talk to their peers. So we need young folk to bring young folk. We need middle-aged folk to bring middle-aged folk. And I will say this, my experience of this so far has been that the young folk really up for this, and the old folk really up for this, and the group in the middle kind of know we need to do something. And you'd almost think that mortgages do something to your head, I don't know. But these are the groups that we've really got to work with. So we've got a lot of plans. Email me, robin@common.scot. If anyone's got an idea, anything, we're going to try everything we can next year.
Government and council.
Well, that's one of the things we're doing next year. So, what we're...
Take over the government.
Yeah, well, what we're doing... Yeah, okay. You don't put ideas in my head. One of the things that we're doing, I didn't want to go in about this too much. I've already met with somebody who's exactly said, what about local authorities? We've started a list of things you can start bashing your local authority about the head on now, things they can do now. And we're going to produce packs to support people. So whatever it is, your MSP, this is just an open plea. Who do you want to influence? Email us. questions@common.scot, I think is the one we're using. Who do you want to influence? Email us. We will work in a pack to help you influence that person. Don't care whether it's your granny or the United Nations. We'll try and develop things to support you to influence anybody you want to influence, including the Scottish Government. We will be doing our best to talk to them. And, there's a big focus next year with COP, the climate change conference coming to Glasgow. We've got a lot of stuff planned around that as well. Let me very gently put it like this. Government is nowhere near where it needs to be yet. Nowhere near. In fact, to be completely honest, I think it's kind of in denial. And I don't just blame the Scottish Government in this. Seriously, when I was watching even the Greens in a tugging match, is it 70 or is it 75% carbon reductions? I'm like, why don't we just make it 500? I mean, why don't we? If we're just making fucking numbers up, why don't we just do that? And I'm sorry that we're still at the stage that people are saying, should we be doing some insulation? People need to give themselves a shake. I've got to say, Extinction Rebellion is starting to give them that kind of a shake. So if they can focus on gluing themselves to buses, we can focus on putting the science in, and you can focus on finding anybody that'll listen to you and persuade them we need to do something. I'm really hopeful the momentum is behind this one. I really am. I'm a natural optimist, but this time, I've never been involved in a transformational project which has got so much momentum behind it in terms of the recognition we need to do something. So I am optimistic, but we've got a long way to go.
I've got two questions. One, are you doing any crowdfunding? Apologies, because I don't know anything about the Commonweal. And second, if it's not too impertinent a question, which is the best political party to vote for next Thursday, which is most likely to implement your wonderful plan?
Right, so let's start with the former. All the profits from the books. So we've got the two books, the Atlas. We've got a big Christmas merch sale. If we do really well, it'll give us a fighting fund of 30, 40,000 for the whole year. And I mean, that's not actually that much. We want to get to all the music festivals with displays. We want to go to the places where people actually are. The way that we are funded, and please, I'm really bad for this, and every single other person in the organisation hits me in the head for it. I'm really bad at fundraising. I'm from the west of Scotland, we didn't ask for money comfortably. We're entirely funded by small regular donations from members of the public. £5, £10 a month. Our average is £10 a month. And we do have people where one person gives us 1,000. We've got a couple of people that give the 100, you know, whatever. That's how we are funded, and that keeps our staff going, but we spend all of our money in staff. Materials is what we don't have. Now, we try not to crowdfund, or not too much, because an awful lot of really good and worthy organisations rely on crowdfunding, and we've deliberately developed a different model so we're not competing with them. So we try to go for the small recurring because we are staff-based rather than project-based. We'll see how Christmas goes. We might do something next year. Who to vote for? I'm just going to tell you that I've never recommended a vote in an election. I'm not going to start now. There are many options on the table. I'm going to say a couple of things. Number one, I'm going to say I'm disappointed with the SNP's manifesto on climate change. It's not serious. It's not. So that's disappointing, but I say again, I can't see how you do it without independence. Meanwhile, by far the best manifesto on it is Labour at UK level, but I don't think they've got it right. So I say it's the best, but they haven't really thought through what they mean by their investment. And my slight worry with the Labour approach is they could chuck an awful lot of money at this and not get it done because I think there's a bit too much signalling in it. So all I can tell you is you vote for what you... obviously I should say Green, but there's not going to get an MP in this election, so you know. I don't want to advocate against, but it's hard for me to say, yeah, do that. So vote with your conscience, vote what you do, but see whoever you vote for. Get them by the ear and say, I voted for you. What the fuck are you doing now? So I don't like to tell people how to vote. It's your call. Let me put it like this. If I could take any of the options currently available and include the Scottish Greens and put them in power just now, there's no one of them is actually ready to do this. Sorry?
So how do you achieve it politically?
Oh, the difference between the difference between something not happening and something happening can be very slim. So that's my whole career. That's what I did for a living. Is I was a political lobbyist and influencer, and I've seen it all the time. The reason why I'm so optimistic, the reason why I'm feeling so positive here, is bluntly, people who don't really want to get involved in change have actually trapped themselves by their own rhetoric. Everyone's now said we need to do something. We need to do something. I don't think a lot of them really understood the scale of what they've just committed themselves to. So as a lobbyist, I'm saying, no, this is a beautiful sweet spot for us. We've got scientists saying, if you don't do this, you're going to die. You've got them all saying, well, we don't want to die, we'll definitely do that. So this was about us saying, right, so this is what it looks like. Now, I could do a very long talk about how you make politicians do things. It's really rough, but they respond to the same sorts of pressures as everybody else. We've just got to make sure that when they do the right things, they get rewarded. When they do the wrong things, they get a very firm rap in the knuckles. But we will be talking to everybody about this. We'll be talking to all the parties. We're already started, and we're doing. I know there's a lot of people inside the political parties, all of them, who are sympathetic to what we are trying to do, and they're organising internally. So I know a lot of you will probably be SNP members. It'll be in the new year, but you'll discover there's a large chunk of members who are going to agitate to try and get this as the party policy. I know that we've been talking at the Greens. We're not talking to Scottish Labour yet, but we're not going to be sectarian about this in the slightest. We'll talk to everybody and say, have you got a better plan? I could talk about this for hours, but it's never one big thing. It's lots and lots of little things that eventually get it over the line, and we're going to try them all over the course of 2020. Scottish election 2021 is when I want to target people. Nobody should be going in that election without really solid plans, and if they are, they shouldn't be voted for.
Sorry, Morgan, this is not a question. So, my name's Ariane Burgess, and I am the Green candidate for Inverness Mayor and Economic Strategy. And I just want to say that thank you, Robin. We met at Irene's in Ulpole a while ago, and I've been living and breathing. I believe the future is in community. We need to devolve the power to community level, and I've been living and breathing, studying about community-owned power. I'm a member of CarShare. I know a lot about how to get this done. So if you have been thinking about voting Green, even though Robin says we won't get an MP, you never know. Things, extraordinary situations require extraordinary responses. And I absolutely want to be in Westminster to put pressure on the government and make sure that we really respond to climate change properly. We have the answers. Robin's given us some of them. I know a lot of stuff that we can be doing, as I said. And yeah, let's get this done. We need to organise at a local level and be confident and get on with it.
So diplomatically, large volumes of votes for the Greens are certainly going to send a message. I'm not saying don't vote Green, I'm not saying vote Green. There we go.
Thank you very much. And thanks to Robin.